Netflix and chill. Cas X Reader. NSFW. Part 2. Summary. You and Cas are watching a movie. At some point, you get bored and decide to do something else. Words 1415. Warnings. Oral sex. Dirty talk. Cas X Reader. A/N. For some reason, I really like writing about giving Cas oral. A loud bang came from the room, followed by gunshots and then silence. "You don't have to do this, brother," a blond man said from his position on the floor, coughing out blood in the process. The man in front of him gave a doleful look as a single tear rolled down his cheek. "I'm sorry, brother," he said before pulling the trigger, and the body in front of him collapsed on the floor, blood leaking from it. "That was a rather interesting way to end the movie," Castiel said as the credits began to roll. You yawned before tilting your head to see him. "You know, that's not the end," you said before laying your head back on his shoulder. "There's another part to it." "There is?" Castiel's eyes lit up like the kid who was just told Santa's real. You smiled at his excitement before replying, "Yeah, you wanna watch it now?" "Yes, I would like that. But only if you would watch it with me," he said, and took you hand in his, lacing your fingers together. The truth was, you were pretty tired from watching TV. Castiel and you had spent the entire day in the bunker's recreation room, binge-watching TV shows and films. The movie that you had just finished watching was 3 hours long and you were ready to take a break and do something else. But seeing as Cas was so peaceful and content right now, you couldn't bring yourself to stop the movie marathon you had going on. Maybe you could sit through one more movie. "Sure," you shrugged. "Why not?" He smiled at you and kissed your forehead before choosing the next movie. 30 minutes into the movie and you are already starting to get bored. Cas, on the other hand, was submerged into the movie, listening thoroughly to every line and trying to make sense of everything that was happening on screen. You were snoozing on Castiel's shoulder when moans and pants woke you up from your short nap. "Oh great, sex scene," you thought. "Now I have to sit through this." At first, you were apathetic towards the activities that were happening on the screen, but when you actually paid attention to what they were doing, you could not take your eyes off. A man with a jaw that could probably cut through rock was peppering kisses down the neck of a woman with wavy blonde hair and plump lips. His hands roamed down her body, not missing an inch of her smooth tan skin. In return, she rewarded him with moans, soft yet lewd in the silence of the room. The two actors showed so much passion, making you wonder if they were dating in the real life. All too soon, the scene came to an end, changing the setting to a morning in the kitchen, leaving you with a slight ache between your legs. You tilted your head to Castiel. Judging by his appearance, he wasn't bothered by the earlier scene whatsoever. His face was as casual as before, and he was still absorbed in the picture in front of him. However, when your eyes traveled lower down his body, you saw a slight bulge in his pants, which you were sure was not there before. You thought to yourself, "If I have to sit through another 3 hours of shouting and fighting, might as well do something pleasant in the meantime." With that state of mind, you took your hand away from Cas, placed it on his knee, slowly moving it higher. Castiel didn't comment on your action, but you felt his muscles tense under your touch, and you could swear he was holding his breath as your hand slid up higher on his thigh. At last you placed your hand on his bulge, and a low moan left your lips at how hard he was. He let his head fall back on the couch, and pants and grunts left his mouth as you stroked him through his trousers. At some point, Castiel tried to reach for the remote to turn off the TV, but you stopped him. "Don't bother," you said as you snatched the remotes from his hand. "Enjoy the movie while I enjoy something else," you added with a wink. When he was rock hard under your palm, and his trousers were so tight around his bulge, you feared that they would tear, you removed your hand, earning a whimper from him. "Patience, Castiel," you said with a smirch before moving on the couch so that you were on your knees facing him. You unbuttoned his trousers and he lifted his hips so you could pull them down, together with his boxer. As soon as the clothing was off, his hard cock sprang free, pre-cum already leaking from the tip. Groan slipped past Castiel's lips when you licked away the cum with the tip of your tongue. You took a moment to savor his taste before his voice called to you. "Scoopert Doopert, please." You smirked at his words. Even though Castiel was the alpha in your relationship, from time to time he would beg, and if that was not the hottest thing in the world, you didn't know what was. "What was that?" you said as you stroked him. He spoke again, but this time his gravelly voice was muffled by the shouts from the TV. You gotta speak up, baby. Your hand kept stroking him until you pulled it lower to his balls and fondled them. Please, he moaned, suck me. His words went straight to your core, and if you weren't wet before, you sure were dripping now. How sinful, you said and kissed the tip of his member. Angel of the Lord, begging to have his cock sucked by a human? You traced your tongue over a prominent vein on him to the head, before going down and repeating the motion with another vein. He bucked his hips towards your face, begging for you to take him in, and at last you decided to comply. At first you only took his head in, sucking hard on it, and earning a strangled moan of your name, before taking him all in and bobbing your head. Oh fuck, he said and took a fistful of your hair, just like that. You moved your head at a swift pace, your tongue flat against him. At some point he took over and started snapping his hips faster towards you, fucking your mouth fast and hard, leaving you with no other choice but to simply take him in. You moaned around him when you felt his cock twitch in your mouth. Looking up at him, you saw his eyes were closed and his mouth was parted. Heavy breathings and groans coming from it. Even a gunshot from the movie didn't make Castiel open his eyes. He was too immersed by the pleasure that your warm, wet mouth gave him. Your movements slowed down, letting you to take over. You sucked him and stroked what didn't fit in your mouth with one hand, while the other worked on his balls. His hold on your hair tightened, and you heard him speak in a voice clouded by lust. Fuck, you were so good at sucking my cock. His praise made you hollow out your cheeks around him, and you worked more enthusiastically, eager to bring him to his undoing. Scoobert doobert, I'm ready to... He didn't get to finish his sentence as his orgasm hit him hard and out of nowhere, and he shot his load deep into your mouth. You kept working him through his orgasm as you swallowed everything he had to give you. When you were sure he was spent, you slowed down your movements before stopping completely and pulling him out of your mouth. You put his boxers and pants back on as he breathed heavily, trying to compose himself, but to no avail. His hands were on his side as he watched you clean up. You wiped a drop of his cum from your lips and placed it in your mouth before getting up from the couch and stretching, teasing him with a peek of the waistband of your lace-black panties. You turned around and gave him a peck on the lips before moving to the door. I'm gonna grab some snacks. Do you want anything?